when LeBron didn't show up.
Yeah, no,
all
he
the places.
perpetrated a fraud.
He did.
Still a class action lawsuit.
I'm joining. Well, when we look at
Guys, I think we got it fixed. The problem was the silver mica disease in the IF cans, and so we got that repaired. We opened them up. We measured. We lifted one lead each off of the coils and measured the capacitance. I didn't actually get close to what capacitance I had there. Like I said, one of them was measuring 90, and I put in 110s, and I still didn't have to adjust the slug. So I think the next thing to do is I think I'm going to change that Bumblebee capacitor out, because I'm about ready to align this, and you want to make all the changes you want to make before you do the alignment. So let me change the Bumblebee out, and then I'm not going to mess with that other capacitor. And I don't know, I may try to clean and lubricate the tuning condenser just a little bit. It's a little stiff to turn. I'll probably put some more cleaner in the volume control, and then I'll go around to doing the alignment on this. But I think what I'm going to do is just let it play for a bit. I'm getting late, kind of late tonight. I'm going to let it play for a little bit and see if the static comes back. But otherwise, I'll report back, and then we'll get into doing the alignment. I'll do all those other things before, you don't need to see all that. And then we'll get back on the alignment on this. So thanks, and have a good night.
It's not a late party town. It's not New York or Chicago where the bars are open till 4. Even if it ends at 2, it's back. This is Lee Habib, and this is Our American Stories, and we tell stories about everything here in the show, including yours. Send them to ouramericanstories.com.
Okay, I don't know if you can still see the smoke. We just had an explosion here. That was cool. I heard some funny noise, and then pop. I was digging around and I found myself a safety cap to put in for the Bumblebee, and guess what happened? The Bumblebee blew up. Yeah, I've killed the power. Let me get this set up. Pretty funny. I've had this going for quite some time to see if the noise, the crashing and all that was going to come back. So I've had this in here running, and I've been in here just kind of messing around, tuning in different things. And then I turned on the signal generator, and I started kind of getting it kind of set up for doing the alignment. As I started tuning it, it started, you open the capacitor gang all the way open, and then I flipped this thing on, and I'm just kind of trying to get it set up to 455 kilohertz and get ready to do the alignment. And I was noticing, hey, I can hear a little bit of some interaction between this, and then all of a sudden, boom, this thing popped. And yep, this is why you got to change these. Now this has been running just regular wall current, except it's been on an isolation transformer, and it finally gave up the ghost right here on the test bench. And we got junk everywhere. I mean, we've got debris on top of the cabinet. We got bits of it in here. Too bad I didn't have the camera on, and I didn't scream like a little girl, but it was pretty funny. I thought, what? And I hit the power off, and then I looked in there and I was like, oh, the Bumblebee just blew. Oh, look, it knocked the tube out of the socket here a little bit. That may have been me just moving it around. But anyway, look, we got stuff up here. I gotta be kind of careful. Some of these tubes are still hot. All right, well, it looks like I need to change that. I was going to do that anyway. I wanted to do that before I did the alignment, so I just can't believe it. All right, man, let me, I'll get this cleaned up and put a new cap in there. Okay, so it must have known I was plotting against it. So this thing just completely blew apart and threw its guts everywhere. As I was at that very moment looking at a replacement for it. So it finally decided, well, the heck with you, I'm out of here. Alright, so yeah, it's if you look at the schematic on this deal, we're talking about this guy right here. And you know, you might say this is a hot chassis radio, and I guess maybe it is, but there's no chassis, so it's really an across-the-line capacitor for noise suppression. So across means, you know, you use an X, and so I've got an X-rated capacitor here that I got from a power strip that I had cannibalized a while back, and it's an X2, so that'll work just fine for residential use. And just wired it to where the Bumblebee was. So I'll get the power back to this thing so it can continue burning in to make sure we don't have a problem with noise coming back. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was having a good laugh over that.
And Sheriff Ryan, the information you need to start your day. Tomorrow at 5. Materials, including vegan compost, rose soil, and
All right, let's go ahead and get this thing aligned.
in bags.
Featuring behind-the-scenes stories and conversations with
So as you can see, there's the replacement safety capacitor for the doomed Bumblebee. I'm going to probably mount this in a frame. But anyway, I'm still finding bits and pieces of it up on the shelf up here on the top. All right, so let's go to doing the alignment on this. I got my signal generator set up. Let's see, can you tip it up a little bit? Yeah, you'll be able to see the counter when it turns on. All right, so I've got the alignment instructions here. Okay, so where we start is, let's see, we go up here. So we got it set to where here, by the way, here's where it says 26 watts is the rating. So I'll be using that when I put a fuse in this, 0.27 amps. So I'll probably put it, you know, a half amp fuse in this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a dummy antenna of 0.01 microfarads. So I've got that here. And we're going to hook it up the high side to pin 1, which is the grid of the converter tube, the 12AU6, and the low side to the B-. Okay, so let me get the bigger schematic here. Now, one of the things we're talking about here is we want to go to the grid of the converter tube. So here's the converter tube, and the grid is down here at pin 1. If I come back, that is where the 22 picofarad, the two 22 picofarad capacitors meet. It's also where it matches up against this 2.2 meg resistor, is this area right here. And the ground can be on the other side of that 22 picofarad. All right, so I can pick that up right here on the side. So let's see where that is. So to turn this around, let's see, can you see right here? So there's those two capacitors. One of them goes to the tuning condenser. So on the other side of that will be where we want to connect up for the high side. Let's see here. So we'll connect up on the opposite side of this capacitor to be on the high side.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum.
And this one will go on the other side of this little capacitor. I'm saying, yeah, this little capacitor right here, which is the ground load.
You can still get Newsmax TV for free. Millions of Americans like you are watching Newsmax. It's available on all major cable systems.
Turn this down, right? As we say, okay, we want to set the generator to 455 kilocycles, which is the IF, the IF frequency. So turn this on, checking the frequency here, and we're going to tune that to 455. 455. You can see why that would be impossible to do with this. Okay, so 455 kilohertz. And then it says that the tuning gang is to be fully open. Okay, so open the tuning gang. Alright, so now what we do, output meters across the voice coil. We're going to do that by listening to it. And we'll turn on the modulation. This does 1,000 kilohertz instead of 400 kcs fine. And then what we're going to do is adjust the IF cans for maximum output. We'll just do that by ear on listening to the output at the speaker. Okay, so let's give it some volume. That's interesting. Let's give it some modulation. Okay, we can hear the tone. So now we're going to adjust the IF cans. So I'll do this one first.
You say that as a distraction because they simply couldn't.
Okay, hey, this is the future talking. I'm going to get back to what we had recorded in a minute. I wanted to give you kind of an idea of something that went on so that I can make this video a lot shorter and not repeat things. So I did the alignment here, but I had some problems with getting the alignment tool into this side of the alignment cans. I had some other issues where I think I had too hot of a signal coming in from the signal generator into the into the grid, and that gets remedied next when I go in and do work with the oscillator. I switched to a coil and coupling through the air inductively with the coil rather than going directly connecting to a lead. I had a lot better luck doing that. So what I'm going to do is kind of jump ahead, show you a little bit of the alignment that I had done, and then jump into the oscillator and then the antenna, and then I'll be back in just a minute. That'll save minutes and minutes of me trying to figure out what's going on with the noise and so forth. So let me just do that, if that's all right with you guys. So as our good friend Ray from the radio workshop would say, oh, where'd that cup of coffee come from? Anyway, I'll have a sip. Meanwhile, have a look at this clip. I think I got it pretty close. Okay, I think that's it. Turn it down and see if it works. All right.
And parliamentary rules, war. It's this president. But they don't have the leadership there.
55 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download 11 points in all.
Okay, the next point of the alignment is to align the oscillator. So you put it all the way to the far right, fully open, and you adjust the oscillator coil so that you get maximum output. And so we're going to set the signal generator at 1620, which is the top of the dial. We do have a station not too far from here at 1620. I don't know if that antenna will pick it up, but I'll set the frequency generator at 1620, use the loop, feed it into there, and adjust A5, which is the oscillator coil for maximum deflection. So let's do that. Okay, 1620, and that's all the way. And the oscillator coil is the one on the bottom there. It's that one right there. Okay, so that's all the way. That's still at 1620. Now we need to hook up a coil. So we're going to the antenna circuit. Okay, we turn on the frequency generator. And bring the antenna over. Okay, I'm going to first move the frequency generator, or I'll bring this to see if I can hear that anywhere. Let me turn it up some. Okay, I'm not hearing it. Double check my frequency. 1620. All right. Got the modulation up pretty high. All right, we'll tweak the oscillator coil and see what we get. That's probably 1620 right there, but I'm not getting a signal.
First 20 minutes for 75%. So, road 20.
Going back the other way. There we go. So that was in way too far. How far off was this oscillator? All right. Right about there. Okay. That's the oscillator set. So now what we want to do is set the signal frequency to signal generator to 1500, tune to 1500 signal, and then adjust for maximum output while adjusting the antenna. Alright, so we go to 1500 kilocycles. So 1500 is where we're set, and then we're going to go back to putting the signal on and tune it down to 1500 kilocycles. So till we turn that till we get it, pick it up, I guess.
Thì niềm tin của nhân dân.
Turn the modulation down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to adjust the antenna for maximum output. It's about there. Okay. Turn that off. See, the radio still works, huh? Okay.
Chúng tôi mong tiếp tục phục vụ cộng đồng Việt Nam tại Houston và vùng phụ cận, nhất là những quý vị trong chương trình Medicare và Medicaid. Chúng tôi điều hành tổ hợp y tế Vân Lan.
Okay guys, this is the future, back with you again. So what I want to do now is kind of describe to you what happened after we did that last work with the oscillator and the antenna. Okay. After I did that, the oscillator was out quite a long ways, and I got to thinking about, did that maybe have an effect on the other items? Probably not, but I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of go back and retouch the alignment again. So I went back and I just did it by ear with some stations and stuff, and it seemed to kind of clean it up some more in addition, but I still really wasn't that happy with it. So I got to thinking about how I had changed the capacitors, you know, on the bottom of these IF cans, these inductor capacitor tanks that are in here that are used as filters, right? And so I realized that I may be so far out on these, I really can't see it. Okay, you know, there's some downsides to doing a single frequency in and just trying to peak it either by ear or by using a meter, especially when you think you might be out a long ways. So I decided to try something that I don't normally do, certainly not for AM radios, but I have, okay, especially when I think I might be really out a long ways. And so let me show you a piece of equipment I have up here on my deck here. You've seen it up here probably a couple of times. So this is an HP 3336B. It's a synthesizer type generator, and it can do sweeps. Okay, I primarily got this for doing work on some FM radios I was working on. I needed to sweep the back end, to do the discriminator, and so forth. I use it somewhat. All right. So anyway, I have this set up to where I can do sweep. So I thought, well, I'll do a sweep of the AM section of this. Okay, which I did. All right. And what I found is that I actually had two peaks. So I had a peak where you'd want it to be, and I'll tell you what my problem is with that in a minute. And then you had way out here, there was another little blip. And I've seen that before on some of the work I've done. So I went into these transformers, and went in there and worked on them until I could get the peaks to kind of start to come together. Okay, and then I was able to kind of get it more aligned that way. Okay, now one of the downsides I have of what I've got here, this is probably not really made for what we're doing here, but it certainly works. Now this does have a way to put a marker out. So when I'm doing a sweep, I'd like to know where the 455 kilocycles is, right? Or where the 10.7 is. I'm doing FM. So this does have a way to have a marker, and there's a marker output in the back that you can then put into a Z drive input in your back of your oscilloscope. Okay, and then that'll allow you to look at the sweep on the scope and know where the frequency is you're interested in. So when you do your maximum, you can get it right where it's supposed to be. Well, the problem is I don't really have a functioning oscilloscope right now that has a Z drive input that's working properly. I have a scope over here I picked up at a I guess you call it an estate sale a while back. It's kind of a basket case, but it's a Tech 465B, and it has a Z drive input, so I can match it with this, and I can get the marker for the 455. Now I do have an SG165 that will put a marker on it for me when I'm doing FM, but it doesn't put a marker on AM. So I needed to have some kind of solution for this, and so this will do the trick. But for right now, I don't have a way to know where the frequency is I'm centering around. So what I can do is I can try to sweep on either side of 455 the same amount, let's say, and then when I send it over to my oscilloscope, okay, I could say, well, if this is my sweep, then I'll center it, and then the middle of that should be the center frequency. But I'll be honest, I don't think that's completely right. I don't think it really works that way. So what I primarily do is I do this to bring the two peaks together and get them kind of close. But once I've got them together, I think I've done the hard part. Okay. Then what I do is I just switch back to using the regular frequency generator up here and set it at 455, then tune that by ear, and then that's what I did, and that thing really made this thing work much, much better. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of that. I went in and purposefully screwed these up, okay, to kind of demonstrate this a little bit. I didn't get to where I got the twin peaks again. I just didn't feel like driving the slugs that far, but I've got it screwed up, and you'll see how I'm going to try to bring it in, and you'll see how it kind of works for what this works for me. Like I say, there's other things to do this with that'd be much better. I'm just having to use the gear I have, right? So let me turn this thing on. It's always plugged in. It's got an oven in here for doing the stabilization. I mean, this thing is crazy more than what I need, okay? But I got it for a really good deal, and it works good enough, so that's what we're going to do. Now, it's going to get noisy, so I may speak up here a little bit and maybe just try to get the volume down in editing. So I'll show you how I set this thing up, okay? First of all, I have it plugged in here to a 75 ohm output, in the output channel here. And I bring it to, I guess I don't really need this. I have a blocking capacitor in here. When I first was using this for FM, I'd go in and attach it to some of the outputs of the discriminator circuits, and I didn't want to have this hooked up to where it could get a DC voltage back into here. So I put a blocking cap in this box, and I just always have it on here, so that's why I've left it on. I don't actually need it. So that then comes to the antenna. So I'm going to be sweeping with the antenna not connected directly to the unit. Okay, and then I've got an oscilloscope. My oscilloscope I showed you right up here is hooked up to the speaker outputs that I have down here. So I don't know if I'm going to get all this in one shot. Let me see if you can see that. It's not too bad. This unit is on, by the way, right now. I've left it on for a bit. Okay. Move this down just a little bit. And the other thing I'm going to do is kill the lights so that you might be able to see this trace over here a little better. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get this turned on. So this comes on, it kicks on at 10 megahertz. So I think what we'll do is we'll do a sweep that'll be 40 kilohertz on either side of 455, okay? So that means my start frequency would be at 415 kilohertz. So what I'm going to do is come over here where it says, I'll bring in, we can see some of these buttons here. So it says continuous type of sweep, sweep start, start frequency rather, and sweep stop frequency. So I'm going to say start frequency, I want to be at 415 kilohertz, 415 kHz. Okay, that's the start. The stop I want to be 40 on the other side of 445, so it'd be 495 kilohertz. Stop at 495 kilohertz. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I need to set what's the speed of the sweep. I find that like 0.02 seconds seems to work pretty good. Okay, and I'll get to the amplitude in just a minute. Alright, so I can go ahead and start the sweep by hitting continuous. Okay, it's now sweeping, and we can look at the amplitude. Amplitude is minus 73 dB. So let me say I want to modify that. The 9 is blinking, and bring it over to the 7, and now I'll bring it up here so maybe we can get a signal here. Alright, because I'm not connected directly, I'm going through a loop antenna. Alright, so that's what we're doing there. Don't really need to do anything else with that, except you'll see me maybe mess with the amplitude. Alright, let me see if I can get this back. Okay, can you see the radio? A little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing on the radio is I'm going to be using this tweak tool, and I'm going to be going into the two IF cans. Maybe if I turn on its side, maybe it'd be better. Try not to get jolted from this thing because it is plugged in and running. Okay, we'll see if that'll how that'll do. So you can see the first IF can, top slug, bottom slug location here, and the second one's back here. You unfortunately can't see it. Let's see, I may be able to lay the antenna. Let's see if it'll work like that. Okay. Alright, so let's, we now have this going. Let me kill the light. Okay, maybe you can still see this trace a little bit. Alright, so we have this set in XY mode. So I have the input coming from the speaker lead going into the channel 1, which is the Y, and then the channel 2 is the X drive from this. Okay, I think I've got it set up where I need it to. So let's just see how we do. I'm turn up. I've got the tuning condenser turned to kind of a quiet area. Turn this up. Okay, you can see, look here, you can see a little bit of a spike here. Now I'm going to try to center this. Right, so the idea is, that first one maybe would be 415, right, and this back one would be 495. I don't know how accurate that is. So to say that 455 is exactly right in the middle, I can't really say that. But what I can tell is how many of these bumps I have. And so what I had before was I had a maximum, and I had another maximum way out here, and I brought them together. Now, I didn't bother screwing it up so far to where I would have two maximums again, but I did do this so you can see how these things move. So I'm just going to go in to the bottom slug of the radio down here for the first IF can. Okay, you may or may not be able to see that. I touched something. If you look over here at the output here, I'm going to start turning the capacitor. Sorry, the inductor coil. Okay. Let's try the other one, other side. See how it moves it? And try bringing it back, kind of where I think it ought to be. Okay, it's barely moving around a little bit right here. So now let me see if I can make that peak any bigger. Looks like it wants to have something there. I'm not getting anything. Let me try going to the second IF and see if that'll help. Okay. So now I'm getting a radio station coming through interfering with me there. You see that brought this back. Now what I can do is kind of work on trying to improve the amplitude by moving these other slugs. That kind of shows what I did to get the two peaks to go together. And then once I got them together, then I just tried to tweak it a bit more to get them to where they seem to be giving me better maximums. And you can see how much I'm turning this. So this can really help you find something that's way out. Now I've probably got it to where now that I've got the two together, the two peaks together as I did. In this case, brought it where I got them closer to being near the center. I can now go back to just the unswept frequency. Like I say, the sweeping is primarily just to get kind of the big overview of what we're doing. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to switch back to doing it the traditional way and finish the alignment that way. So I'll turn off the HP. Won't need the oscilloscope anymore. Then what I'll do is change this to come from my signal drainer right up here. Flip this over to I need a steel cable. Okay. Let's put this at 455. Okay, I probably got this to where I'm going to be getting still too strong of a signal getting through.
And create evil. How did it come into the world? Did Satan create it, or did it?
Alright, so let's find another place on the dial here. There's a quiet spot. Okay, we're at 455. So now what I can do is put the tone on it. Let's see if we can hear it. Kind of got the antenna set up in a null location. Okay, so I got to where I can turn that down quite a bit. Hope. What I want to do is have the volume at maximum and then have this to where I can barely hear the tone, right? So the ADC isn't interfering. So now that I know I got the two humps together, this is what I had done. I got the two humps, brought them together, and then I did the alignment again. I'm just doing it by volume. This is the second IF bottom slug location now. If I can find it. go. You can definitely tell I'm getting a peak now. I was a little concerned I wasn't getting peaks before I did the centering. I'm getting the two peaks together. This is top of the second IF. I already checked the first. Bottom of the first. Bottom of the second. And top of the second. All right. See how it receives. All right. Turn the volume down.
Recordando los discípulos Jesús, Pedro y Juan. Menos en la casa de Dios. Mucho menos, hermano.
I think I finally found a nearby station.
I really was about to. I think I was frustrated that night too.
This is a little apartment or whether it's a 3-bedroom home. Yeah, I'll talk to you after the show. KSEV.
So basically that was a process I went through. I'll go through and touch it up a little bit more. As you know, this can take some time to do, but I just wanted to demonstrate how I had to use the sweep to find that I had two maximums and then brought them together. But then since I couldn't trust the center frequency, since I don't have a marker yet, then once I got them close, then I figured then I could use this method since I knew the peaks were then together and I could then finish up the alignment. Okay, so I'll retweak this and get it back into where I think it ought to be. By the way, I was also noticing something while I was working on this. So take the dial off here. By the way, you'll notice I'm so far in the future that the speaker is not in the case. I've already started doing other work on the case, and you'll get to see that in the next episode. So remember before we were talking about, I'm going to turn this off. Kill power. Okay, so we were talking about where somebody had signed this, and we were trying to figure out what did that say, What is that a B? And everything, and I got to looking at this, and I thought, if you were going to write your name on this, okay, you write across here on the top, but would you write across here like this, or would you turn this around and write it from the other way? So I looked at it the other way. Now what do we see? Now this could be my imagination, right? I think that's a J. I think this says Jim. I think it says J-I-M. And then now that, which was looking like a weird B, looks like a G to me. A cursive G. King, maybe? Could that be Jim King? I don't know. But it was interesting to turn this around and say, maybe I can see a signature there now. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Anyway, I'll finish touching up the alignment on this thing, and then in the next video we're going to get into cleaning the case up and then getting this all put back together again and see how she performs. Okay, I'm back from after redoing the alignment. I didn't really actually make any changes, I don't think, but I did go back and reset the oscillator signal again, went back and rechecked that, redid the antenna. Instead, I went to a really, really weak station and tuned it in, and now it's performing really good. Of course, it also depends which way you turn the unit, but basically we're getting really good reception now.
We talked earlier about this. I think this Case Keenum's with him for another year, man. Yeah.
And get you in focus. That'd be nice. There you go.
In recent years has pursued a career as a painter, has acknowledged serious drug addiction and other problems during the period when he was seeking insurance.
Was asking for this on up 30 weeks ago. I mean, why weren't they already there? The war's been going on for 30 weeks, and I know.
The Falcons can offer you different players and different picks.
Anyway, so yep, getting good reception.
You know who they are. And we've actually spent a lot of time. We think a lot of it.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This thing's all basically fixed, and we'll work on the case next. So, thanks, and see you next episode.